Hello, students, and in math class today, we're going to do a do now, and then we're going to work with some number line work. And by the end of the class today, we will be able to plot numbers on a number line and make estimations about opposite numbers on a number line. First, we have our do now, and for our do now, we're asked to compare using a handheld or screen-based calculator. Which do we prefer, and how is using the computer for math different from pencil and paper? And that has been a challenge for us so far this year, and we need a bit of practice to overcome this. But I want you to reflect thoughtfully on how learning math has changed for you. Some of you might like it better on the computer, so we want to hear from you. When we are finished with today's lesson, we will have an exit ticket where we are required to draw our own number line from -10 to 10, and then we will label any number on the line and identify its opposite on the number line. So we will get back to that in a minute. So today, our objective is to plot points on a number line. So number lines can be horizontal, just like this number line here, or number lines can be vertical. So let me get a pen. There I go. Okay, here's our horizontal number line with 0 in the center. And then we could imagine -1, -2, -3, -4. And then the positive numbers, +1, +2, +3, +4, and so forth. But number line students can also be vertical. And we might have a vertical number line if we're thinking about a sea level problem or a temperature problem. So we're still going to have at some point 0, and our positive numbers would be above 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Our negative numbers would be below 0, -1, -2, -3, -4. So let's move on to some more activities about the number line. So here we are asked to estimate the location of various numbers on the number line. So first we're asked to estimate the location of -4 on the number line. Be careful, that's a negative right there. So we don't want to miss that. Maybe I should erase that so you can see that better. Get our pen back. So let's see, -4, well here's my 0. So I know I'm going to go to the left. And here I see -5, here I see 0. So I think what I'll do is I'm going to go, let's see. So that would be 4, 3, 2, 1. So I think -4. Let's get another color. Would be right about here. That would be our -4. Over here, we're asked to estimate the location of 9 on the number line. So I have 0, and here's my 5, and here's 10. So 9 would be just a little bit to the left of 10, right about here. Down here, we're asked to estimate the location of 1 on the number line. So let's start with 0. Let's see if I can get my line to be a little smaller. And let's try the blue this time. Okay, so we're looking for the number 1 on the number line. So I have, here's my 0, here is 5. So I know that number 1 will be over here, pretty close to 0. Let's go to number 3. Okay, here we are asked to locate -9 on the number line. So we've got, here's our 0, Our negative numbers are to the left. Our positive numbers are to the right. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 would be right about there. They did say estimate. Okay, let's finish. Okay, number 5. Number 5 asks us to identify a pair of opposite numbers on the number line. So we can choose -5. Let's kind of clean that up a little. And negative and +5. That's one thing we could do. We could also choose -10. If we choose -10, we have to choose +10. So there's two pairs of opposite numbers on the number line. Move the page up a little. Go back to work. We are asked to locate the opposite of +8. This is an invisible positive sign. Wherever we don't have a sign in front of a number, we always assume that the number is positive. Let's see if I can kind of clean that up a little bit. There we go. I'll try to do that again. Okay, so remember that is a +8. So the opposite of +8. So +8 would be between 5 and 10, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right about here. So the opposite of +8, we're looking for -8. So let's label that with our +8. And -5, we're going to the left this time. -6, -7, -8 would be right about there. And let's label that point -8. Okay, let's look at what else we need to do. Got some extra practice here. I'm going to reduce the page a little bit so that we can see all the problems. It looks like we are plotting on a number line. So let's read the instructions. It says to identify, get my ink pen back, identify the number associated with each point on the number line. Oh, let's A. We're looking for A. So if I look up here, I have A is right here. Let's see what that is. So I have -2. So here's my 0, -1, -2 is here, -3 is here. And I see between -2 and -3, this unit is divided into 4 parts, 1, 2, 3, 4. And point A is right in the middle of them. It is halfway between -2 and -3. Remember, 0 is over here, so we count toward the left, which means we come to -1, -2, -3. So in between would be -2.5. So let's write that down. B on the number line would be right here. So I have -1, which is here, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4 parts. The area between 1 and 2, -1 and -2, have been divided into 4 parts. B is at the first one of those parts, so that is 1/4. So we have 1 and 1/4, -1 and 1/4. Let's look at C. C is still, here's C over here. C is still less than 1, but it is positive. So we have 0, and C is halfway between 0 and 1. It's positive, so C is 1/2. Let's look at D. D is over here. Here's D. And D is exactly on -2. So that's our D, -2. Let's look at E. E is all the way up here. E is a tricky one. E is between 1 and 2, so it's going to be greater than 1. So we know it's going to be greater than 1, but it's less than 1/2. It's also less than 1/4. It looks like E is right between 1 and 1/4. Halfway between 1 and 1/4 is 1/8. Okay, so let's look at F. Here's F, and F is greater than 2. It's right on one of these division lines. Here's my 2. Here is my 3. It's less than halfway, but it's on one of the 4 sections, so that means it's 2 and 1/4. Let's look for G. G is down here close to 0, but it is to the right of 0, so it's still positive. G is less than 1. It's less than 1/2. It's right on this line that is 1/4. So we don't have a whole in front of G. We just have 1/4. Remember, positive 1/4. We do not need the plus sign. The plus sign is understood. So H. Here's our H. And H is halfway between 1 and 2, which means H is 1 and 1/2. And again, it's positive. Everything over here is positive. I, now look at this, I is to the left of 0, so it's less than 1/2. It's between 0 and 1/2, which makes I -1/4. Remember, if it's to the left of 0, -1/4. And J is all the way down here, and we know that it's negative. It's between 1 and 2, but let's see how many quarters in it is beyond -1. -1, 1/4, 2/4, which is the same as 1/2, 3/4, -1 and 3/4. All right, let's move on to the next page, next part, and see what we can do. We're going to use the number line to answer some questions. And remember, students, you should pause the video and try to do these on your own if you can. So we have a number line. The number line starts at -10, and it goes up to +10. So we have 4 questions. How far is -6 from 8 on the number line? So let's plot -6. There's -6, and here's 8. And we're going to count the units from -6 to -8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. It is 14 units. And I'm calling them units because we really don't know if these are inches or centimeters or miles. They haven't told us. If they haven't told us, we call them units. Excuse me. Plot a point where you estimate 2.5 would be and label the point A. Let's see if I can get this to work. No, it changes everything. I think I will erase all of this to make it clear. Let's clean all this up a little bit. Probably could have left that 14 there. Not a very good eraser, is it? Okay, so let's put back our answer 14 here. Okay, and plot a point where we estimate positive 2 1/2 would be. Well, that would be halfway between 2 and 3. So that would be right about here. And they want us to label it A. Next, we're asked to identify the opposite of 4. Well, here's 4. The opposite of 4 would be -4 right here. And we are asked to label that point B. Okay, so we've done that. How far is -8 from its opposite? Well, here's -8. The opposite of -8 is +8. Let's see how far that is. You have a guess? You should try to take a guess before I do this. Maybe pause the video and try it on your own. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Did any of you guess that? And it's not negative, it's positive. These are positive steps that we took. Even though we started out in negative territory, we took positive steps. So how far is -8 from its opposite of +8? That would be 16 units. Oh, let's move on to our last page. And this is our error analysis. This is where you really get good at these students when you try to find the errors. So the first thing that we're asked to do, change our color, something maybe fun. Purple sounds fun. So it says identify and correct each error. We're asked, number 1, to estimate the location of -4 on the number line. Well, here's my 0. Here's my -5. Where should -4 be? And what is this? This is approximately -6. So we want -4. That would be before -5, and that would be about there. That would be our -4. Number 2 asks us to estimate the location of 9 on the number line. I don't think this is 9. Here's 5, here's 10. Halfway between 5 and 10 is exactly 7.5. I think that's about 7 1/2. I'm going to write it as a decimal this time. But I think 9 would be right here, much closer to 10. And I'll label that. Let's move our paper up a little bit. And now we are asked to estimate the location of 1 on the number line. Now, just because 5 is the first number that they've written to the right of 0 doesn't mean it's the first number. We can imagine that there are 4 numbers in between here, 1, 2, 3, 4. And number 1 would be right here, very close to 0. That's our 1. This is 5. That's not 1. Here we're asked to identify a pair of opposite numbers on the number line. So these are not opposite. Let's just say the opposite of -5 would be +5, and the opposite of -10 would be +10. We're counting by fives here. So what is the distance between -5 and +5? We can count by fives. 5, 10. What is the distance between -10 and +10? Again, we can count by fives. 5, 10, 15, 20 units. But finally, we are asked which point is closest to 1/2, -1/2. Let's be careful. Let's not miss that negative sign. So -1/2 is right there. Look at E. E is not on 0. E is at 1/4. And I'm thinking because E is on 1/4, that E is closer. It's real hard to read these number lines right now. But I think if we have D is 1, and we want something that's closest to -1/2, let's look carefully. This is 0. Actually, these are thirds. So 1/2, I'm sorry, students, 1/2 would be right here. So definitely not D, definitely E is much closer. I didn't realize there's only 2 tick marks in there. Be careful when you look at these number lines. Okay, now looking at the number line above, get my little hand so I can push the paper up. How far is point A from point I? So here's point A. And here's point I. And they said 2. Let me just clean that up a little bit. There. So here's I. Clean it up. Okay. Try that again. Here's I. All right. So looking at the number line above, how far is point A from point I? Well, let's see. We're going to go, this looks like 2.5. It's 1.5. I think these are divided into thirds. I'm going to erase the entire number line so we can get a better look at it. You have to really look at these carefully. Okay. So point A to point I. Here's my point A. And this is 1, 1 and 1/3, 1 and 2/3, 2. So point A is at 2 and 1/3. And point I, 1, 1 and 1/3, 1 and 2/3. 1 and 2/3. So each one of these intervals is a third, so we can go 3 intervals make a 1, so that would be 1, 2, 3. That's a distance of 1 unit. 1, 2, 3, that's a distance of 1 unit. 1, 2, 3, that is a distance of 1 unit. 1, 2, 3, that's a distance of 1 unit. We've gone 1, 2, 3, 4 units altogether. little cursive for you. So let's go back and take a look at our exit ticket. Where we were asked to draw our own number line from -10 to +10 and label any number on the number line. So I use arrows to indicate infinity. Try to make your number line as straight as possible. I'm going to put 0 in the center, and I'm going to choose the number 6. So let's see, mark 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is my -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6. And on the positive side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll write the numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to choose, says any number. So I've chosen 6. So I'm going to label 6, and I'm going to label its opposite, -6. You can choose another number if you like. So that's just a brief introduction to the number line. I want you to think carefully about the positives and negatives and be ready for some integer work next week. Have a wonderful weekend, students.